Welcome, welcome. It's good to see you.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Good night, everybody. Good night. Welcome
Welcome,
to
welcome,
the
everyone.
Intrinsic podcast. Episode what, 5 now? We on episode 5?
Episode 6. That was an error. I put an error in
Yes,
the.
episode.
Yeah, no, I posted and I'm like, it's already set. I'm just like, I'll ride the wave. I'll change it as we go. Technically,
No, that's good.
technically, this would be episode 5. We're going like based on like actual contained episodes because we're technically missing number 3.
Yeah, that disappeared in the mix.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, no, the
We're not
universe.
talking about it.
The Instagram monsters ate that one.
Yeah, sometimes I think it's just meant to be. I think for the greater good of our
That's the
future.
vibe. You kind of go with the flow of how things happen to be. It always
Mhm.
works out if you're following the path that feels right.
Mhm. Interesting how that always feels fearful, huh? It's usually like you're scared to approach that silver lining.
Of the truth, that's your conscience. It's tricky. It's tricky because it's like the lesson. It's our eternal life lessons that we have to go through every time we're in a body. We're trying to figure out how to become closest to the oneness of like the greater soul. So it's like we're living our existences throughout all the trials and tribulations to do our best to still be great people, to be like the best of ourselves, regardless of what what is moving around us and I guess the living verse. It's tricky though.
Hmm.
Tricky. But it's all about lessons. I think the trick to it is being mindful of yourself, being aware of like your own actions, paying attention to yourself, like kind of reflecting, but not in a negative way, like not looking back and be like, oh my God, I did that, da, 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 da. Looking back and kind of looking at it from another angle of like, I had to go through this process in order to learn to do these things. That's why I went through that. Doesn't always necessarily make it a good series of events, but I think it's sometimes just about the journey and what is gained, as long as you're willing to obtain the strength that can be.
Strength. So many different levels for that strength too. Like I feel like patience is a good
Oh,
strength
yeah.
to have, right?
Yes.
You
Calmness of
know,
mind.
calming, to be calm when things are chaotic, which I'm still growing into. I had, I feel like we're all still kind of growing into it. Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know, it's not that I'm a recluse or anything like that, but it's just that, I'm passionate.
No, it's tricky.
And
No, 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 no. When you're heat, it's the whole point on that is like it's when you're in the heat of the moment where that's when it's the time to shine, and that's the hardest time to shine because in the heat of the moment everything's kind of toasty, so you can't really direct your brightness in the way you want. You're like, I'm burning everywhere right now.
oh my god, it's brilliant. Yes, toasty.
Toasty.
So, shall we jump into our topic for tonight?
Yes.
I guess we're kind
So
of working our way into it in a sense, but
yeah, tonight we're going to be jumping
yeah.
in on the dream state. Where do our dreams take us? What is that world? What do we think that world is really? Because I don't think any of us really know anything definitive, but I think we only know what we've heard from other people that makes sense and what we know ourselves from our own dreams, because we're the only ones who can actually appreciate the dreams that we perceive.
Mm-hmm. We're the only ones that can keep those dreams alive because we're the witnesser, we're the perceiver of the dream.
Exactly. But only in the physical realm.
So,
When I look at it, well, I'd say from like from a spiritual realm of like the collective consciousness and the collective being, I think there is like a connectivity between us and like the spirit world in terms of dreams. So it's like there are lessons that we gain. Like, if you ever had like a dream, or you've ever had like a revelation of life, or of something, even a nightmare too, even nightmares too, because like having nightmares is really just your fears being brought to the forefront so that you can gain strength. You can gain a strength to kind of move past something.
Yo, dreams stress me out, fam.
Mine used to. Oh, dude, I used to die repeatedly in my dreams, like a lot, like a lot. Like I've died so many times, and like I started to understand that was an attribute of fear. My fear of like, I guess myself, of being my true self. For some reason I felt like by being myself, like I was limited, and then by being limited is the same as dying. So it would just like replicate in any situation, because it's like, oh, now this situation, this scenario, oh, this is gonna happen because you didn't do this. So like my dreams would like, there's a long series, like I'd say from my adolescence, high school era, that's when I started having like the full set of those. I used to have recurring dreams of like past lives and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
How about
Yeah,
you?
dreams are definitely pretty magical. I mean, my experience, I could say from childhood, it was almost like I've always had messages coming to me in my dreams. When I was younger, I didn't understand them because they were coming at me so vividly, and it just confused me because I was also a very intrinsic individual growing up. So it was hard for me to differentiate between whether my dream was a state of reality or if it was just a dream state until I actually woke up. Once I'm awake, I'm like, okay, but when I'm in the dream, like, yo, it's like I'm living it and it's happening in the moment for me. Like I always lucidly dream. So I guess, so lucid dreaming, for some people that don't know, most of us do, but if you don't know, lucid dreaming is just when your dreams feel really real.
You have control, rather. When you realize that it's a dream and then you have control. I've had it a couple times.
Lucid dreaming is when you have control of it. Yes, that's true. When you have control of the dream and you can manipulate the way that you're operating it, how it's unfolding, how the storyline's happening, like being able to make magic happen in your dreams. Like lucid dreaming is also being able to make the things that you've created in your dream also happen in reality too.
That's
right?
Something
like manifestation.
Yeah, that's something kind of that I want to obtain the skill for, is like lucid dreaming, so that you can design things. Especially for me, it's like there's a lot of images and designs that I have for different things, and it's like I don't put in the effort to obtain the skill with my hands. I am working on creating a system so that it would just be my mind, but like the lucid dream state would be like the step ahead. That would be the method of like being able to design an image in your mind. Not gonna lie, there was one time where it sounds like having a very deep, vivid daydream. There was one time where I had taken some narcotics with friends, and I went.
Sorry. That's how the wildest
It's about
adventures
phrases. It's
start.
about phrases.
You're taking some narcotics with a couple of friends of
With
mine.
some friends of mine. I was at a house party, and yeah, like I just went to the front of the house, and I don't know, like I was vibing with everybody, but then I just kind of felt the binding, to just be like, oh, let's just go chill out in nature. I'm just outside, just laying on the front step, and like I closed my eyes, and then like I just saw a 3D cube in my mind, and I'm like, oh, it's cube, and then I shaped it, turned it around, I'm like, whoa, what the? And I added stuff to it, and I was like, whoa, this is crazy.
Like
Like,
Oculus in your brain.
yeah, like, oh, 100, it was amazing. Like, granted, it's like I like that I was able to do that via the assistance of narcotics, but it's see, for me, I don't mind doing things the harder way because you get more control that way. So like I'd rather
Well,
put in
yeah.
like the mental focus. Like, granted, like I've actually theoretically thought of a system of like, if you could make like a microdose variation of certain things, you can actually just reach a state of being able to function, but actually access those extra sensory perceptive abilities. Theories,
Hmm.
only theories. Like I think there's one thing I remember hearing the other day about the other day, like this is like a couple months ago, but it's like a clinical DMT thing where they're just gonna like microdose you, but like for hours just to see what happens. Oh my goodness, I would love to do that. That would be crazy. Because it's like the people who do that essentially they're gonna connect so deep to the spirit world. Because like I feel that's what kind of separates us from the spirit world. It's like the boundary that we comprehend or we can perceive them in really is through our dreams or like hallucinations, which I would consider hallucinations to be like short burst dreams. Dreams are just an extended hallucination in my idea, right? And it's like through that method of vibration.
Oh. So does that explain deja vu?
Yes, yes, and actually, I have. Well, there's a theory on deja vu. It's that.
What?
So this is kind of a this is a kind of extreme theory. This is a kind of extreme theory. So the theory is that, so you know how we have recurring dreams, right? You've had recurring dreams. A lot of people have had recurring dreams of kind of sense past lives and this and that. So the theory is based on that reincarnation factor. So it's like we are souls that connect to bodies, and when we are souls, we have the memories of everything that we already had. And then when we are going into a new body to learn a new lesson, we kind of get a glimpse into theoretical realities of that body. It's like, this is the body that you're gonna have. This is what they're gonna look like. You kind of get like from your spirit teacher, like I guess like the your teacher of the group of spirits that you work with, or souls that you're around in the
Yeah.
spirit world. So it's like that teacher kind of gives you a glimpse into a series of different bodies. Each one of them will have a relative lesson of what you're trying to learn in that existence. And then you
The
kind of get to
circumstances.
see a bit of the future of it at certain points. It's like, so say if you wanted to humble yourself in a certain way, like that would be more of an advanced souls kind of perception, because say they looked into their life and then they realized at a certain age that that body was going to get into an accident, or it could possibly get into an accident, or this or that. They understand that that is a path that they want to take because it will teach them a lesson of humbling themselves in some type of way or some manner. Because it's like, okay, well, if I am injured now, I have to learn how to live while having to rely on other people to learn to humble myself to other people, because it's like some people will look out for me even if they didn't, how to keep myself calm and stabilized and da, da, da. So it's like it's all based on soul lessons. So it's like the deja vu effect is because we are remembering what we originally saw, so we're pulling back like that glimpse that we had of the body that we are in this future. That's why kind of like you have a deja vu,
So
like,
we're
oh shit,
getting,
you're
but it's
synchronizing.
deja vus are like, from my
Where you
experience, anyways,
remember.
have always felt like something that I had done, or something that was familiar, or something that is on repeat. And it's almost like I like to I like to play with deja vu sometimes. What I like to do is when deja vu happens, I like to do the complete opposite of the visual that I got. Because for me, it's like, okay, I have the opportunity to do something different. If I'm already seeing this and this feels familiar as if I've done it before, I want to change the perspective.
Okay.
Change the direction of where it's going. But that's just the way that I've played with it, because for me, it didn't make sense. I've felt myself following through in the familiarity of the deja vu.
That's also
Does that make any sense?
catch. That's a good catch. Yes, I understand, because it's like it could also be the traits that exist within your soul. You're noticing that those traits, while you have that deja vu, may have been a thing where you're like, hang on a second, this is something that I would normally do. And I think in order to grow, I should not do things that I would normally do. Remembering
that I would normally do.
Yes.
Like change that, because I am the new. If anything, I'm the newest version. I'm not the future self.
Yeah.
I'm not there. I'm just the now. I'm just the present version now. Yes. But if my soul gives me a glimpse of something I've done before, like that's a sheer opportunity for you to do something totally different.
Yes.
And change the way that your journey was actually, not to say, well, because they say destiny in your own hands, right?
You can divert it a little bit, but like there's still.
Yeah, because there's a path that you're on that is there, that's planned already for you. Like, we understand that concept, that there's a reason behind why we're here. So for some people who, even for me, I get even some family members, not going to call out nobody who, but some family members kind of look down on the concept that I'm not Christ-based or Jesus-based too, and that I am strongly more on the sense of like, maybe they don't understand it because I work with herbs, because I work with candles, I work with I understand my individual magic and my manifestations of certain things, right? Some people
their minds aren't as expensive as yours are.
That's how I know. And there's this really cool, humble place that I was coming from that I want to bring myself back to now that it's coming to me and I'm remembering. But I always, when you know that you're of that wiser kind, of that wiser state of mind than the people that are around you, you don't look down on them. You kind of look at them like, it's okay. You don't, like, you're learning and you don't know better. And I'm not going to take offense to the fact that I don't even like the word ignorant. I feel like the word ignorant is like a fighting word. Like,
it's not ignorant. It's not ignorance. It's just it's
like saying someone stupidly doesn't know.
I wouldn't say that. It's just that they're like, see, exactly. Like, that's why I wouldn't. Well, yes, I would say that that's what I feel about the word ignorance. But
ignorant,
like, I don't feel that towards people who may not perceive things in the same way as I do. Like, even me myself, like, I know, like I think that's the thing. It's like, for people who don't have an open mind to concepts, like, I'm not saying to automatically run to everything, but it's like, listen to things, perceive other concepts and other views, realities, ideologies, just to kind of get a grasp of like yourself. The more you can kind of pick from a bunch of other things, you can kind of start to pick what actually makes sense to you. It's like, you'll sit down and listen to a bunch of different types of music, and then you start picking out which songs you really like. And then you can actually make yourself a playlist of like, yo, this playlist is me. And then it becomes more what your existence is, your true existence is based upon.
What's that word? We diverge. We're not diverging at the same time.
Andrew, I wouldn't consider that too far of a tangent because deja vu.
That is not too far.
Yeah, where we at? We're talking about the concept of deja
Deja
vu.
vu
Yeah. Like I've
and
had
like
some pretty.
how
I've
it
had some pretty.
correlates with dreams.
Have you had Well, I guess I've had future sight dreams. So I've had dreams that have like premeditated the future. I didn't really remember them until I was at that moment, and then it was like, deja vu. Oh, I'm in the same spot. This all makes sense. The
What
imagery.
do they call that? They call that premonition.
I consider it a premonition.
Yeah, premonition is when you get a vision of something before it happens.
Yeah, I get that pretty.
And those are my dreams.
Yeah,
Those are my dreams. There's a lot of my dreams. Like this, I'll never forget this premonition I got because it was a massive turning point in my life, but it was so needed. And it might sound a little bit crazy to say that, and that, I might be a little bit enthusiastic about it. But at the same time, during that whole time, I was pretty enthusiastic, like wildly surprisingly enthusiastic, because I was just like, ooh, like crazy things are happening right now. I was just like,
yeah.
holy
With
shit,
crazy
there's
energy.
massive change coming. Like, yo, I don't know what it is, but something big's coming. But I
Gotcha.
had this dream, and we're all sleeping. In the dream, we were sleeping and woke up. That's why my dreams freak me out too sometimes, or not freak me out, but
Oh
confuse me
yeah, when you're in a
sometimes.
dream, you wake up in a dream like
I
that.
wake up in a dream.
Those are trippy ones. I remember going to sleep in a dream. I remember in a dream I went to sleep and it was trippy and like I actually got like labyrinth love. So I went to sleep in the dream and then I went to a secondary dream state and then I woke up from that secondary dream state and was trapped. And so I
You
was
were
like, oh
trapped.
no, like I got caught and I was like, oh wait a second, was that a dream? Wait, this is a dream too. And I was like,
Oh
oh
my god.
shit. And I was
I
like,
feel like
wait,
that's when
actually, I
someone
can
can
like
pass
actually
away too, right?
like the crazy part about that too, like that was a lucid dream. At that point, like now, having the thought back now, had I realized, I could have been like, wait a second, I can fly. Let's go. That's usually what I do. Whenever, like the first thing that I do, the first thing that I do whenever I have a lucid dream is I fly. Well, when I realize it's a lucid dream, it's like I take flight, and then it starts to like drift off because it's like then the rest of the dream is just superpowers and flying through everything and just understanding is some neck. It's those turn into like trippy alien dreams that I can't really comprehend. A lot of mathematical triangles and like
The
symbols. It gets
unfathomable
intense after a
dreams.
while. It turns into an actual psychedelic show of just like trippy images. Like it starts off
Shit
like,
gets wild in
whoa,
your
I can
head,
fly, I
okay?
can make these buildings change. Oh man, like because when I realized I could do that, then I start putting my brain on like the processor of my brain on overdrive. I'm like, okay, wait a second. Like, so what I try to do if I do notice clouds, I look at them and then I try to imagine the color change. If I see it change at all, that's it. That's where it starts. And then I'm like, okay, then I'll make the clouds change from one side to the next perfectly. And then I'm like, all right, cool. And then it's just like focus on flight. And it's like, how would it feel to fly? And then you just kind of imagine the feeling of just like free floating existence. And then from there, it's like, okay, now you're just moving. It's like, whoa. Only twice, only twice I've done that like that.
Flying. I think I flew a couple of times. I've definitely experienced falling.
Oh yeah,
Um,
falling is uncomfortable.
ooh, what about this? How does well, obviously sleep paralysis is associated with sleep at some
Sleep paralysis
but
is crazy. Sleep paralysis is crazy. Now I don't know. Like now I wouldn't. I would actually probably enjoy having sleep paralysis to see and observe now because it's different now. My ability to
what do you mean
comprehend.
it's different now? It's never different. First of all, the only thing that would I feel like now when you like now that I'm in this level of
State of mind.
control of my consciousness, um actually I've conquered the motherfucker. I conquered it. You wanna know why? Because it tried to come for me one day recently, and it was after I was doing research and stuff, and I was doing a meditation.
The shadow?
No, I don't see shadows. That's the thing. I feel presence.
Yeah.
And I don't just feel presence, but I also, like, you know how people say, I feel something's near. No, I don't just feel it near. I feel it.
Yeah. The pressure that's on you.
I feel it pushing, but you know what? The science behind why that happens, which is interesting. But anyways, I conquered it recently. Let me not digress. I conquered it recently because I was doing a meditation and I had my headphones on. So I was slowly falling into that deep state of meditation, and then all of a sudden there was like,
It's called the alpha state. When your brain gets to that, like the alpha state. Yeah. Like I just heard it. I just heard it the other day through that book on hypnotherapy. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
When you get into that, like, that meditative, like, dream state, the alpha state.
Yeah. Well, I was approaching it because I was listening to sound. So I was listening to a guided meditation, and then all of a sudden there was a glitch in my headphone.
Oh no!
But because which woke my mind up,
but
my body was falling asleep.
You're still separated.
So I was definitely separate, but that's what sleep paralysis is when your mind wakes up, but your body's still asleep. And when you feel that heavy weighted feeling, there's a name for it, but there's a chemical that goes off in your body that stops you from fighting yourself or acting out your dreams, which is what that heavy feeling is. And then I remember feeling the pressure starting to hit. And I remember actually trying to be like, right away, I tried to say something and talk to get myself out of it, but I couldn't. I don't know what it was, but I just said, no! And I took off my headphones, and I was awake. And I was like, yes! Like, I celebrated that night because I was just like, ah!
No, you really, yeah.
You'll never get me again! It was a proud moment. But yeah, I don't know what it was that got me. It was because of realizing, one, some of the things that they were saying was don't open your eyes if you have a sleep paralysis episode, because your eyes stay open, and that's when you start to see shadows and stuff in the room or start to see shit, right?
Your brain,
your dreams are playing out.
Not even that. No, what I think it is, I actually have a theory on the shadows. I think it might be our spiritual guides watching us, because I think what may cause, I guess, the generic version of it is like stress based on like sleep paralysis. So if you have too much stress, then it's just like when you're in actual like mid between dream states. So say you're like half falling asleep, I guess pretty much. Yeah, like you're pretty much just before you reach the alpha states, like that's that window. Just before you.
They say the fear receptors actually go off when you're when you're in a sleep paralysis state.
Right. Yeah.
Once it activates, you're like, for some reason, it's because your brain is having a hard time recognizing whether if you are sleeping or not asleep. Because especially if your eyes are open, right? So what they're saying is that when your eyes open and this is what scientists are saying. I totally agree with you with the fact that there's definitely something in the room or essence in the room, because I felt that presence on multiple occasions. But they say that when you start to hallucinate and see things, it's because your brain is actually still in a dream state. But because your eyes are open and because the brain can't tell between reality and dream state, it starts to play out like your dreams start to play out into what. So you're not actually seeing it, you're fucking hallucinating.
Oh, shit.
It's just things that you're seeing inside of your head. Yo, I had to find out what was happening. So there was also even a study of a couple of doctors that went to like some African states, some African countries to see like what they had to say, because they wanted to know. So they heard the scientist side of it, but then They're like, we
Their
want to know the
bypass
spiritual
security.
side of it.
Oh, they went and did Iboga pretty much.
Well, yeah, well, they went down to the tribes to find out what the different tribes knew about these phenomenons happening because they could
Oh yeah,
explain it to
the shadow
them.
people. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Like
Mm-hmm,
that thing is
mm-hmm.
known around the world. The shadow people from like the from sleep paralysis. That's global. Everybody
Yeah,
knows.
that's global.
That's global. Everybody knows. Like
So many people have experienced it. There's towns that have been shut down because of certain phenomenons that have happened so
yeah,
frequently, and because of, I guess, in a sense, because they're just not knowing. I can't say ignorant for
yeah.
people who just don't know. Like,
That's the
it's so
thing.
insulting to call someone
Well,
stupidly
that's the thing. Like, look,
unknowing.
our planet, our planet, our existence on Earth is kind of a hostile one. Not generally just because of each other, but like it's just generally it's a naturally kind of hostile place. And
It's a hostile environment.
I think it's like that for us to become very strong, superior beings. For us to have gotten this point in this crazy, harsh environment is success. Absolute success. This place is hard to exist in. It's super hard to exist in. There's probably a plethora of other worlds that are several times easier to exist in, but I think there is a lot of potential for like overall existent growth to the natural law of existence outside of the soul world. So like in a physical form, like I think this world that we have can connect us to the spirit world while we're still in the physical. And like I think that's kind of why we keep coming here. We keep reincarnating because it's like there's potential for growth for this world to actually connect to our greater selves, to get our, because I think that's the general idea of like all of our existences, that we're all trying to get as close to the center as we can. The center is like essentially the binding force, the God force, which is like everything. But like we're all our own individual little strings of life. And we're all slowly trying to pull ourselves to get into the center point in order for it to continuously expand. Because like we got to go in for it to learn more, because we keep growing and learning more. And the more we learn and grow, the more it grows and learns. So it's like it's the
Mm-hmm.
inverted fact. But the idea for us, as we keep existing, we like as we reincarnate, we're essentially living our soul versions of like getting to that Buddhist Zen state. So Buddhist monks will get into that, or like monks of that degree will meditate to get into that state, and they can actually reach that realm in this physical form. And like, but
Mm-hmm.
they do it in the most calm, easiest manner. It is a growth form, but it is not the same realm. Like their method is like they they've taken a knowledge from another world that was more of just like a mind world where there's a lot of thought and actually expanding, which could bring you to the center.
Mm-hmm.
So the chaoticness of this world allows us to grow and expand. Our like it's intrinsic to the law of the natural laws of the universe, which is like exponential growth, because it's kind of how we've been growing as a society. It's like everything always goes like every new generation's like so.
Yep.
I lost where I was at, but
Sorry.
um, growth stream. No, I lost it. My apologies. I brought us on a
It's
tangent.
okay.
A little bit tippity ting.
I was waiting to see where you're going with it. You're
um,
going somewhere.
yes. That's the thing. I'm trying to remember the start because I think I was right at this. Was right at the. This is it. Souls reincarnating, remembering new lives to get to a Zen state to try and get to the center, closer to the center, which this planet allows us the ability to create existent form that brings us close to the center while still being in a physical body. That's what I was trying to say. So
Yeah.
while we're still in physical forms and physical realms, we can connect to our souls, the spirit world. While I think that's kind of why this is such a harsh environment to exist in. It's not so much that it's been made to be this way, but it kind of is, and it's like it's the hardest school of souls. So like if our souls are pretty much like going to school every time we reincarnate, it's like going to school because it's like
Oh,
learning
it's a hard
lessons.
school for souls.
So it's a hard soul school. We're just going right in it. But it's a harder soul school because like the potential of growth that we have here is amazing. Like we could pretty
It
much.
sets the blueprint for our. But the thing is, it doesn't end.
It never does. Well,
It's never ending. So there's no end goal except for really just to live and to contribute.
Pretty much,
and
just
to grow.
Keep growing. That's the purpose of life. Everyone literally is confused. That's the thing that I don't understand about people who are confused about what their purpose in life is. That's your purpose. Just keep growing.
So,
But I can also understand like the reasons of why saying that is because like this shit's hard. This shit's hard. This shit can be pretty hard sometimes. So it's like it's tricky.
It's hard without the right guidance, and sometimes honestly it's only hard when we're not really following our intuition and we're not following our heart, and when doubt starts to creep in, when fear starts to creep in, when stress starts to creep in, when bad situations start to creep in. Those are the types of things that make us second guess our capabilities and push us into honestly just creating a limit-filled existence when really our existence is full of limitless possibilities. Like, we have not touched most of this place. We have not put our foot on most of the surface yet.
No, we haven't even looked in the water. We don't even understand subatomic particles that exist around us, and that stuff's like the soft, lightweight jelly of existence that exists around us. There's so much stuff in this, like just all this space in between my hands. There's so much stuff here, and that stuff is just pure energy. It's pure this. There's a whole bunch of stuff we haven't even understood yet. Like, we're starting to really peer into it. Like, I guess in the past 100 years, learning about subatomic particles and like kind of getting a view. Hadron Collider, it's given us a little bit better look into what things are. Understanding alternate dimensions and things like that. Like,
I know, right?
These are things these are things that are like fundamental to our existence. Yeah.
Like, we need this. We need this to survive. We need this. Yo, you know what? I definitely do see that our next level of evolution is traveling, leaving the planet and being able to move around and stuff, and actually having that abundant sense of freedom. If you want to go, you can go. If you don't want to go, you don't have to go. But if you want to go anywhere, you can go anywhere because you have access to them. Like, nobody can stop us from accessing the minerals that we need in order to do what we need to do. Nobody's forcing us
from the air, like just pulling in. Like, it's all here. It's all already here in this free space. Nothing stops it. Nothing stops it. There's no limiters. There's no true limiters except for our capacity to grab things.
Our brain, ourselves.
Granted, like, again, the structure of the world we're in kind of makes it a little bit tricky. So it's like, but what we have as our greatest strength as humans is our ingenuity. We're crafty, because like that's always a pretty easy conversation to have with somebody, especially if they're like, "What's the point?" The fact that we still exist is the point. That's Think about the fact that things were way harder than this with way less stuff, and people still made it. We're here because of that revolution.
Those so-called, like, they were impossible at that time, but somebody knew
Someone
and ran
figured it out.
with it. Somebody jumped and leaped with that knowing that it is possible. Like, yo,
That
I'm not
ingenuity.
gonna lie to you. This time that we just dealt with, did a huge number on the collective. I'm sure, even for myself,
Self-expanded.
I did fall slightly weak to the fact that at some point in time, it's almost like I lost faith in my journey, and I lost faith in society. I lost faith in people. Like,
That's what they want. Like that's what the design currently is. It's trying to do that. Trying
but
to
I can't.
no, that's not. It's not our proclivity. It's not our proclivity as beings. If that was truly our proclivity as beings, we ourselves would choose to cease to exist. If we don't, we want to keep
Right?
moving. We want to keep going. But the fact that we want to keep going means that we seek a greater path in ourselves and in everything. The greatest path, the path of life, the path of essentially true freedom of existence. Because like that's essentially what it is. Like, granted, like yeah, I guess like it isn't it is full freedom of existence, but not necessarily completely full because like the world of the spirits tends to not delve into the realm of malice too much. They understand, comprehend it, and like restructure certain like realms of it.
Yeah.
And I also understand, like, even in my mind, I'm even trying to like, there is a realm of natural chaos that just exists. Like it's like random natural chaos where it's like it can be individuals, it can be things, it could be like just the sun, just for no reason. Like, you know what? I'm going supernova. Boom. Like that's just natural chaos. It just happens. It's just supposed to just be like that, and it's understood. I wouldn't like, and that natural chaos is of the same realm of or see. So like the way I look at it is like in the world of like darkness and like even the realm of like demons and this and that, there is a rule system and a structure, I believe, in their system where it's like there's still a law, there's still order, and there's actually a system of respect. And then it's just like the lower tier ones that like do dumb shit. And like those ones that's not even they're outside of like the law of order of existence because you have positive and negative energy that always perpetuate. They
Yeah.
balance each other out to expand. Like
Yeah.
actually, like you know me, how I always make like graphs and all this stuff. I actually came up with like another trippy evolutionary graph, but like or this would be like the negative positive graph of like existence. So like how the concept of like existence is always growing because it's like
How
in order
negative
to
and
grow,
positive flow with each
you
other.
have to. You have to exactly. You positive cannot just be positive because then it wouldn't do anything. Negative couldn't just be negative because then it would destroy itself. And like so, you
Yeah.
have to have the growth and or you have to have the positive plus the chaos or the negative in order to kind of give you a structure in order to expand because you have to kind of hit a wall to learn, right? Like you know how we'll have moments as people where we kind of hit a wall where you gotta like push. That's
I've
that thing.
definitely hit a wall in my life.
That's that thing. That's that thing.
With my little ones, it's like resistance of sometimes, this back and forth, like, nah, like, nah, I want to do it my own way, but it's like, nah, I'm telling you because it's for your safety. Like, the dualities of life come
So
in
the
so
trick,
many different forms.
there's a trick with one or two of those. Like if it ain't gonna really hurt them like badly, you gotta let them mess up and take a hit. You be like, hey, you sure you want to do that? That's what I would do. I look at
Yeah,
them and be like, are you sure you want to do that?
sometimes,
I don't know, man.
sometimes depression doesn't let you do that. Sometimes because, okay, So I want to put it
Oh,
out there
man.
too that depression is
Oh,
not
my
a bad thing
kidding. Sorry?
necessarily. Depression is not a bad thing. The reason why I say depression is not a bad thing is because it doesn't feel good. It's not a tasty, palatable process, but it's definitely a sign of the soul letting the body know that something needs to be dealt with. And when you go into a state of
Yeah.
depression, it's almost like your soul and your body and your mind is all, well, they're separate, but they're also being forced to deal.
Yeah, like you're getting like you're trying to separate, but it's causing a pulling. So that pulling, that's a thing. It's tricky though, because that pulling is like, I feel like that's a little bit harder. You will learn, like, to get through that. You will learn rapidly when you get through it. When you're able to
Well, yeah,
overcome it,
that's
it's rapid. It's rapid learning. Like that's like taking a lesson on hard mode essentially. Like I understand it. I understand it very well because like I've gone through several spells of depression of situations I've put myself into, even knowing that the situation was going to get like that. I kind of knew, and I rode the wave. And then when I hit that wall of depression, like I used that in that same manner, where it's like I knew that it's going to be something I'm going to have to overcome. But once I hit that wall, it's like, boom, whoa, and you're just like, oh my god, you're just getting beaten down by it. But then it's just like from that moment on, you have to kind of like it's like trying to reconfigure yourself to being like, okay, now I understand what this pain is and I understand what this feeling is. And it's like humbling yourself to the view and the feeling of this. And now you're just like, okay. And then it's rapid growth after that though. It's rapid growth.
yo, it is light speed. Like the way the growth happens after you have those moments. And I also feel like when a moment like that comes up again, instead of being so ignorant, because when things happen over and over again, that's stupidly annoying that you're creating harm in a sense.
Yeah, like if you keep repeating the same thing and you knew it was gonna like well, I guess it depends on what you consider the same thing to be. Because like I guess I've done that in my like adolescence, my early 20s. I recall like having moments of like going out or doing something, and like I knew that this was gonna suck and it was gonna fuck
That's
up a bunch of
different.
shit. But I still did it. I still did it. It was not the best thing. It didn't make. It wasn't a logical choice, and there were repercussions to some degree for certain things. So it's like, did it? Huh. I guess it's the same thing too. I did play shit on hard mode, but I just I didn't look back at it at that time until like after that, and then it became a real thing later on when like it was an actual streak of depression. Where it's like, yo, hang on a second, here's some quiet time. Here's some quiet time. Think. That's one of the things.
It's
Like
a
that's the
quiet
thing that
time. Sit with
like
this thought for a
like.
second. Why do you feel like such an asshole right now? Really sit with that thought. How you feel about it? I don't feel good about it. I don't want to deal with it. Good. Deal with it like
Yeah, that's it.
that.
Think.
Yo, that's
Think
what
about it. Now
depression
you gotta do
is.
something about
Depression
this.
is your
Yeah.
soul, fucking your higher self is fed up with you, your
Oh
physical
yeah.
self and your mind making these fucking choices, and now it wants you to calibrate
Pretty much.
and fix.
Well, like
Interesting.
I think to a degree, I think so. I think the higher self that gives you those little things of like, yo, man, maybe you should try. Like where it tries to kind of give you that little bit of like push to try and do. That's like our like soul guides. So they're still like I guess ancestor souls, like the ones that are teaching, I guess, our group. So it's like they can tell because like they're watching us while we're kind of here in part. Like we're still in the soul world because that's our connection to over soul existence, the spirit world. So our soul is like part with us and part in the spirit world.
Yeah.
And so like that's how we have our
So
connectivity between the two worlds.
that's how we stay communicating. Even when we don't realize we're communicating, we are communicating.
Yeah.
And I'll have to be careful And I knew this already, and I just have to remind myself again, and anybody else who's watching, just be mindful of your words and the way that you use your magical throat power. Okay, especially when you're talking about yourself.
Mm.
That's another one. Like, you know how Western society or Western culture has developed this sense of like saying shit like "fuck me" or "fuck my." I can't even say it out
Yeah,
loud because even my
FML.
mom was like, "Yo, who started saying that and who made that a trend?" My mom's like, "Who made that a trend?" I'm like, "I don't know who made
Oh
it a
no, I thought it
trend,
was
but I'm
stupid.
about to put it to an end because like that's not cool to say my life. Like, do you not love being here? Like,
Yeah, that at that moment in time, I like when that was really going on. Like I even to this day, like it's a tricky thing. Like I guess it's because like in that concept of the journey of our souls, like we all kind of knew what our paths were, right? But
mm-hmm.
it's still hard to follow your true path entirely if like while you're living, if you're not really aware of yourself, and if you're unaware of yourself for too long, like you could waste a life here. You could like necessarily, you can theoretically waste a life here if you kind of just went against everything that was your being, and then you die and then you realize, oh yeah, shit, I didn't do anything that time. You'll look back and be like,
Yeah,
well, I
but
did
come
do
on, you
certain
don't
things.
just die and realize that. Like you realize that before you die. That you literally
Some
just
people
like
do. Well, that's the thing. Some people do, but like I'm looking at it from the realm of like when your souls, because it's like the way I look at it is like, so the way I imagine it is like, imagine the spirit world being like a giant jellyfish, and like our souls are like a little tentacle that goes down into a baby. The baby's body. The baby before that baby's brain gets like any electricity. Once it starts really getting like cognitive electricity, the soul like, all right, cool, let's go. And then it starts kind of like working around, communicating with the baby, communicating with the body. It's like, hey, like that's why I said like body, soul, mind, soul, and celestial souls. Like we have like, although they are of the core root, like our body soul is a concept of the physical realm that is more connected to Earth. So it's like
more to earth than the actual. Well, you can't. To be honest, I feel like you can't separate the two. Like, can't
they
say
are
that's the.
exactly, but like it's like the spirit world is more ethereal because like their energy and it like they're so everything is energy. Us, we are energy of that same degree, but we are condensed energy. Theirs is a lot more free. That existence is free. Like there's no limitations at all. Like they can be anywhere. There's no like different galaxies, dimensions, because it's like light. That it's the energy of
Yeah,
pretty much light. It's just light. It's light. It's like we could theoretically, if our eyes could reach like a different vibrational level, we could probably perceive like spirit world,
way
a whole bunch
more.
of different things. We'd be able to see things at different light spectrums. Once we can get to those different spectrums, we'll see everything. Like I think that's where like the story of like elves and all those things. Like I feel like those things are on a different frequency than we are, a much different frequency. I feel like they're still kind of here, but we just can't even deal. We can't even deal. We're trapped. But I
We
think that's
can't
what.
deal with the basics. Come
Well,
on.
that's the thing. Like we can though, we can, and like I
Oh,
think
we
the way.
can. We're just not.
Oh, I actually have a hilarious theory, like or not even a theory, but I guess it was like a concept that kind of like popped into my mind earlier today on like how the system is going right now. It's like, hey, I don't like this guy. Hey, here's this thing. Everyone's gonna stay inside their house. Oh, this is happening. This guy happened. This guy killed that guy. Shouldn't have happened. Oh, this is happening now. Da-da-da-da. Like there's so many different things happening from so many different like I think see so the idea is that it was always tried to be to create separation, right? But the joke that I thought in my mind today is that they've created so many divisions now that people who are on the opposite ends of the spectrum are starting to agree with each other. Because it's like, oh, well, because like, think about it now. Because like there's so many different like angles of it now. So like you may not have like some like you and this person were disagreeing on this, but now this is the new topic, and like you and this person who are on this side are now actually side by side on this. And you're like, wait a second, huh? Like, so it's actually working in reverse. I'm actually starting to notice, and like that's what's happening with like the awakening, the next stage of evolution. Because the whole thing, like remember, it's exponential growth, right? So this current system is going to evolve. The system's going to evolve. Like
I
I
could
said
feel
it
it. It's
before,
already happening.
it's already starting to happen because we're all starting to realize like a bunch of things don't make sense and like they don't need to make sense in the way that they do. So we're gonna start removing a lot of bullcrap. We're gonna be
Yeah.
we as
Focusing on the things that matter.
yeah, pretty much. We're going to pretty much structure the world or make the world be structured in that way, or we're going to design the world in a way where it cannot be adjusted, and it's going to be based on the systems that we prefer them to be. And those systems that were happening before can still kind of fluctuate and do whatever, but they won't
They're not
be
going to
able
be
to.
sustainable.
They're not sustainable. That's why they're not working. That's what, like, the fall of Rome, essentially the same thing, same kind of concept. It's like the structure of that society is doomed to fall if it's not based on a true integrity of soul. It's based on the darker parts of people's hearts. It's not going to succeed because most people have light hearts, just shitty situations. And there's a big imbalance because it's only a handful that create malice for others. That's why it's not
Yeah.
sustainable. It's not real malice on the end of us as the general. It's real
Well, yeah,
malice
they
on
have to put
that
us
small
against
percentage.
each other. That's the best weapon, right? The best weapon is to put us against each other so
But it
that,
doesn't work because
no,
our
because,
like this, like the weapon of the people is a dull weapon against itself. People at a certain point will stop hitting each other and be like, "Why am I hitting you?" We're already at that
yeah.
point. That's where the structure of existence is now. There's a lot. We're on a different realm of like discussion.
Well, it was because it was all manipulated, and people are waking up from the spell of that manipulation that was set forth for us to be taking it out on each other. Like, look, they literally turned, I can't say it out loud, but they
Waking
turned the
up, right?
iron against
Taking that
the
beauty, the
people that
dream state,
are.
baby. The dream state. Take that in. Isn't how's that for the dream state? How is that for the dream state? The amount of time people have been asleep. This next revolution of existence and thought, evolutionary growth. How's that for the dream state, baby?
Because
You
people
coined
were
it, man.
sleeping.
You coined it. People are waking up. When you said that, I'm like, ooh.
People are waking up. 'Cause they've definitely been sleeping for the last 2 years.
People have been
And I
asleep
knew it
for.
would come,
I'd say people see,
but
look. The way I really look at it is people woke up in the '60s when tales of ETs and psychedelics started happening. That's when the wake up started to happen. It started from then. That was like the moment of Q, and then that's when they started doing this whole crazy version of the this side versus that side.
yeah, we're not
There
going
was
to
a
give
big
that
race
any more
thing.
energy because
There
it
was a
doesn't
big race
deserve
thing
it.
back then. Then it was like a this, like, and now all that's starting to fall apart. Like people are really like there's still racial issues, but they're starting to fall apart. And like for me, where I see racial issues, at least where I'm concerned, where they really matter, is only if it impedes me from making money. That's about it. But if it's like talk, verbal, whatever, non-fighting variation. Like if it's from making money or if it's out of like actual aggression, then racial things are that's a different thing. Because like to me, it's like that's not race. It's just you're an idiot, and it wouldn't matter. Like it has nothing to do with it being me. Then that just means that you have problems in your mind because you've lost control of things. You've lost control of things in your own life to the point where you're utilizing your pains against me. So it has nothing to do with that point with actual race. It's just like this individual is in pain, and I just happen to be the scapegoat. So like to me, I'm like, it's not.
That's
Or
all
I guess
valid.
that's my mental processes of it. Like that's how I look at it. I guess like racial situation because I've looked at them in a different way, and I actually made it more trolling in that sense too. Like I haven't had one in a while, but I'm kind of waiting for if the next one I get would be hilarious because like I just have fun with it because I'm just like I always just like if I hear any words or whatever I'm just like that's all you got. Nothing else. Spice it up, bro. Like, just like mess with them. Like, come on. That's you just do the standard thing at me, man. I need some
Yeah.
flavor, man. Like, give me some of this. How about some of that? Like, I need like get creative with it, bro. Like, you're just gonna say the word. Like, you're not supposed to make me mad. Come on, man. Get creative. Like, at least make it. At least if you're gonna like practice this like, bullshit joke, at least try to be funny. Like make me funny mad and then I'll be like okay, but it's just like for me it's like confused malice means nothing to me, and I consider things like that to be confused malice unless it's like they're actually malice where it's actually someone's trying to fuck me up for no reason with that same concept and I have no idea who this person is. That's a different ballgame, and like and that same degree, like the way I look at that is like that's just like crazy people. That wouldn't to me. That's just a crazy person, and a situation like that could have just happened to anybody. That's somebody who's lost control of their life and then their soul for that reason. Like I don't know, it's tricky when you start really delving deep in the concept of like soul existence outside of body. You realize that we're all the same. We're all like one general thing that perpetuates growth. And then at that, when you think about things at that point, then you start understanding like levels of existence. And then there's just more. There's more compassion. There's more compassion. But like to me, I look at like a situation like that as like having compassion for that this individual is still learning, or that they're going through something that's creating this situation.
Yeah, that's key. That's key. We need that. Without that gentleness, we're honestly just perpetuating evil, malice, and
Exactly. Like granted,
maybe
like
all the
look,
feelings, all the energies we don't want to
observe
feel.
knowledge. Be aware of and observe it. Because it's like like
Yeah.
in a truly malicious situation where someone's truly malicious of that degree, I would handle business 100%. There's no hesitation. Like that's a different ballgame altogether. Because then that's like I will fight malice with in even energy. Like this isn't malice. This is just an even energy. Without I wouldn't have to be. Yeah.
Okay.
What's it all about?
Yeah, I was just checking the comments. I saw a couple of, but yeah, I feel like there's definitely a call for a part 2 for this.
I'm in. I'm down for Dreamstate Part 2. Let's
Yeah.
I'm down to like go more on dream discussion. If you remember any of your past lives, I'd be down to talk about some of those. I remember a couple of mine. So if you can remember any, if you have any records.
I'm gonna write down a couple of things.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna bring it to presentation next week. Also, for anybody who's tuning in after the live, we are going live this week, Friday, on Clubhouse. Yeah, the podcast. The Clubhouse group is called the Intrinsic Podcast. So come join us on Friday, where we're pretty much opening up the discussion for anybody else to also, put in. Excuse me, to also put in your opinion, and we can collaborate and bounce ideas off of each other. This is going to be a safe space where, if there's a vibe of anything that's too hot, you're getting the boot, sorry, you gotta go. Can't stay
It
here
can't be
no
too wild.
more.
We like
Uh,
spirits, but not too wild. It can't get too wild on it.
yeah, we don't want to get too wild. We just, we want to keep it respectful. We want to keep it balanced. And honestly, we want to be able to host these events again online so that people are actually growing and learning from them. So I look forward to seeing anybody who is ready to jump in on this. I guess we're pretty much going to be doing a part two on Friday, but we'll do a part
Yeah.
two for our podcast and bring in some
Well,
insights.
you know what? You know what? Well, you want to do, because that would be 3. I feel like we should do part 2 on
On Clubhouse.
on Clubhouse. Yeah, if you guys want to see part 2, join us on Clubhouse. Other than that, you can catch the part 2. We'll have a recording of that, and then we'll post it up, and then you guys can listen to the posting after we have it. Sound good?
Absolutely. It pretty much wraps it up for the day. Hey, I see y'all. So we're just announcing that this Friday we're going to be doing a live podcast feed on Clubhouse. The Clubhouse group is called the Intrinsic Podcast. So tune in, join us. We will be there this Friday at 9 p.m. sharp Eastern Standard Time for any of y'all who don't know. And thank you for showing up.
Thank everyone for coming.
We love you all, and we'll see y'all on Friday.
Put a positive spin on a negative spiral. Enjoy your vibes for the rest of the week. See you guys on Friday. Not to next Wednesday at 9.
Yes, that's right. Ciao, ciao.
All right.